The God of Small Things. By Arundhati Roy. Summary. The God of Small Things tells the story of one family in the town of Ayamanem in Kerala, India. Its epigraph is a quotation from contemporary writer John Berger. Never again will a single story be told as though it's the only one. She uses this idea to establish her nonlinear, multi-perspective way of storytelling, which gives value to points of view as big as a human beings and as small as a cabbage green butterflies. In Roy's world, there is no definitive story, only many different stories that fuse to form a kaleidoscopic impression of events. The novel opens with Rahal's return to Ayamanem after hearing that her twin brother, Estha, has come home. We switch to the funeral of Sophie Mole, when the twins are 7 years old. Rahal believes that Sophie is awake during her funeral and buried alive. The rest of the family refuses to acknowledge the twins and Amu. On the train ride back to Ayamanem, Amu cannot speak except to say, "He's dead. I've killed him." Rahal and Estha have not seen each other since Estha was sent away as a child to live with Babu in Assam. Both twins have traveled somewhat aimlessly until returning to their childhood home. Rahal looks out on the family's former factory, Paradise Pickles and Preserves, and contemplates how all the strangeness in her family resolves around the incident of Sophie Mole's death. Next, we find the family traveling to Cochin to greet Sophie Mole and her mother, Margaret Kochama, upon their arrival from England. On their way, they see their servant, Velutha, marching with a group of communists. Back in the present, Rahal watches Estha undress in the moonlight, neither of them saying a word. The narrative returns to Cochin, where the family goes to see The Sound of Music in the cinema. Inside the theater, Estha cannot stop singing, so he is sent out into the lobby, where the orange drink lemon drink man molests him. After he becomes nauseated, the family leaves the movie early. Rahal senses that the orange drink lemon drink man has wronged Estha, and talks back to Amu when she praises the man. Amu tells her that she loves Rahal a little less, a statement that haunts Rahal for a long time. Back in the present, Rahal runs into Comrade Pillai, and he shows her a photograph of the twins and Sophie, taken shortly before Sophie died. In a flashback to Sophie's arrival at the Cochin airport, Rahal cannot handle the nervousness surrounding her cousin's arrival, and she is scolded for hiding in the window curtain. Everyone tries to impress Sophie and Margaret Kochama with new clothing, English sayings, and forced upbeat attitudes. The narrative turns to Amu's death at the age of 31. After being banished from the Ayamanem house, she dies while out of town on a job interview. Estha watches her body being pushed into the cremation oven. No one writes to Estha to inform him of Amu's death. Roy introduces the refrain, "Things can change in a day." Back at Sophie Mole's welcome ceremony, a crowd gathers to sing and eat cake. Rahal retreats to play with Velutha. As Amu watches her daughter and handyman together, she is attracted to Velutha for the first time. Rahal joins Estha, who is alone in the pickle factory. They plan to visit the history house, where the paravans live. They push an old, decrepit boat into the river and row to Velutha's side of the river. There, he promises to fix the boat for them. Velutha is trying to suppress his growing love for Amu despite his constant association with her children. Back in the present, Rahal watches fondly as Estha bathes in the moonlight. The twins meet by coincidence at a temple, where they watch Kathakali dancers act out a violent story of retribution all night. We turn to the story of Chaco's and Margaret Kochama's marriage. It began happily but soon crumbled because of a sense of disconnection. Margaret left Chaco for Joe, who later died in an accident. After that, she took Sophie to Ayamanem as a distraction. She can never forgive herself for leaving Sophie alone in Ayamanem the day she died. We finally hear the story of Sophie Mole's death and the events surrounding it. Velia Papan comes to Mamashi's door and offers to kill Velutha with his bare hands for having an affair with Amu. Baby Kochama makes sure that Amu is locked in her room and that the police think he raped Amu. Mamashi summons Velutha to her house and fires him, banishing him from the property on pain of death. He goes to Comrade Pillai for help but to no avail. Roy begins to call Velutha the god of loss, and, the god of small things. The telling of Sophie's actual death is short. She joins the twins as they run away after Amu insults them terribly. After their boat capsizes in the river, she drowns. The twins fall asleep on the veranda of the history house, unaware that Velutha is sleeping there. The next morning, the police come across the river to arrest Velutha. They beat him nearly to death and take the twins to the station with them. There, baby Kochama pressures Estha into saying Velutha is guilty of kidnapping him and Rahul. She tells him that doing so is the only way to save Amu and avoid a life in jail. Estha complies, thus saving baby Kochama from being arrested for filing a false report about Velutha. After that, baby Kochama coerces Chaco into evicting Amu from the house and forcing Estha to go live with Babu. As Estha leaves on the train, Rahul cries as though a part of her is being ripped out of her body. Back in the present, Estha and Rahul finally share a fond moment in Amu's former bedroom. They make love out of hideous grief for the deaths of Amu, Velutha, and Sophie Mole. The final chapter describes the first night of Amu's and Velutha's affair. They are both drawn to the riverbank, where they meet and make love for the first time. After that, they continue to meet in secret and share their admiration of small things, such as the creatures of the riverbank. Each night as they part, they say to one another, "Tomorrow. Tomorrow." On the last night they meet before Velutha's death, Amu is compelled to turn back and repeat one more time, "Tomorrow."